Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Today on CityCast Madison. It's Friday, which means the CityCast Madison team is here to round up the news of the week. This week, I'm joined by CityCast Madison's Haley Sperling and Rob Thomas. Madison area Culver's restaurant saw long lines and busy lobbies on Monday during a fundraiser for the Abundant Life Christian School community. Local hotspot Short Stack Eatery announced it will close its doors in May. And a notable alder missed the filing deadline and will not be on the spring ballot. Plus, we meet the newest member of the CityCast Madison team. It's Friday, January 10th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. As always, we're bringing you the latest in Madisonville, Madisonia, Madtown. What's new this round, though, is we've got a new teammate. Joining me today, as usual, is the leader of this here podcast, Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca.
And our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. Hey, Rob.
How's it going, Bianca?
Oh, it's swell. It's swell. And Jade Isiri Ramos, our new producer. Pew, pew, pew. We're so thrilled to have you.
Hi, Bianca. Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
All right, y'all. You're going to learn more about Jade soon enough. She's CityCast Madison's squad, and she's incredible. And the news don't wait for nobody. So we're going to dive right in with the goods. Kicking us off this week is Rob with a really lovely story we deserve.
Absolutely. We need some good news, especially this is connected to a very terrible thing. But like half of Madison, it seemed like I was at Culver's Monday night, and the Wisconsin-based restaurant chain had a record-breaking day for a very good cause. Culver's announced that it would be donating 25% of sales from 80 of its Wisconsin restaurants to the United Way of Dane County Fund that's been set up to aid the Abundant Life Christian School community in the wake of the December 16th school shooting. And I mean, Madison showed up. I mean, there were long lines at every Culver's in the area. People were waiting 45 to 90 minutes for their food, and the drive-through lines were spilling into the street. I saw one report that the line was nearly a mile, and I was actually there. I can offer some on-the-ground reporting to this phenomenon. I went to the Culver's on Todd Drive, which is the one closest to me, and cars were just spilling out both directions on Todd, and you couldn't even really see what was going on. You just got in the line and waited. I had ordered curbside pickup thinking I could maybe sort of kind of dip in, dip out, but like, no. The employee who was standing outside talking to people in the cold was like, "We do not have people available to do curbside. You know, park your car, go in and wait." And so I had to park in the next lot over, walked in, and I mean, the place was just jammed with people waiting for their food. I ran into our buddy Chris Adams, our senior account exec here at CityCast Madison, and like he had ordered his food 45 minutes before me and still not gotten his. But the really cool thing was the vibe in there was so positive. Like it wasn't like a Black Friday thing where everybody was kind of grumbling and hungry and waiting. Everybody was very chill and patient and waiting for their food, and because they were all there for a good cause. They were all there for the right reasons. Eventually I had to bail because my daughter and I were going to a movie, and so I'd never picked up my order. I would have been happy to just pay for it and like have the money be donated, but Culver's refunded our money. And then the next day we donated directly to the United Way Fund, which we'll put a link to in our show notes. And then on Thursday, Texas Roadhouse, which is a Kentucky-based barbecue chain with 2 locations in Madison, also got into the act. And they announced that all the profits from Thursday sales would go to the fund. So this seems like something that's kind of snowballing, where like more and more businesses are going to have these special days where you can take part and donate. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities, I think, to help out. And, you know, I know a lot of us felt just so shocked and sad December 16th. So it's really great to find all these ways to help and support that. It supports the families of the victims, medical bills for the other students who were injured, and just general mental health needs for the entire school community. And as of Monday, United Way announced that they've raised over $240,000 in that fund. And I'm sure that's going to just skyrocket after that Culver's money gets in there.
Wow.
So yeah, I didn't get my cheese curds, but it was still like maybe one of my favorite visits to Culver's ever. So
That's so nice. I love like small town Madison striking. Also the fact that you ran into Chris at Culver's. We love
Right.
that. Shout out to Chris. But it's just, I feel like you said, yeah, people are looking for a way to help. And this is kind of that low effort, but still sort of community building way where it's like, yeah, I'll get Culver's today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. I also thought about going to Culver's because I was like, yeah, that's so nice. And then I was looking online. I was just like scrolling through Reddit and people were like, the line for Culver's is 2 hours long. Like the line at this Culver's is down the road. Literally Cottage Grove Road is backed up and it's all because of Culver's. And I was like, okay, so it sounds like everyone else is getting Culver's. And I'm like, I'll stay home this time.
yeah. And I mean, shout out to the employees there. Like Chris sent me a photo and they're like shoulder to shoulder. There's so many people working to try and get those orders out. It was incredible. I think it was their biggest day ever by a country mile. And so
Bigger than the Curter Burger?
the Curter Burger was the bar, and this is Curter Burger times 10 at least. Yeah.
That warms my heart because, like we want to see that. And I think a lot of us feel so apathetic at times and so helpless.
Yes.
and in the face of acts of violence like this. And when you see that, like actually there are so many people that want to help and make a difference, that it's stopping traffic in other parts, of the city. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, yay! Huge news.
Good
Lovely
news.
news. If you went to Culver's, good on you. Good on you, Culver's. If you worked at Culver's, good on you.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, like, it's like a bunch of high schoolers that run these Culvers, right? You
Right.
know, like they're doing the good
At least
work.
some of
Good
them,
for them.
for sure.
Yeah, right. Some of them. There are adults in the room, but it's a lot of teens.
And of course, we also love Texas Roadhouse on this podcast.
Yeah, we do.
So shout out
I've
to
never
them, too.
had it. Yeah,
Me neither.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
neither have we, but we talked about going. When we asked for a Must See Madison segment, where should we go in Madison? Someone said Texas Roadhouse. So
They have something called rattlesnake bites I want to try. I don't know what it is, but that name intrigues
Sounds
me.
like it's up your alley, Rob.
but you're hooked. You're hooked. Well, we got more news stories to get to. And this next one that's coming up is around fundraising as well, as a part of that story. So stick around for that. And we're going to take a quick break. Want to have a good time for a good cause? Joey's Song brings together a group of artists that include rock and roll Hall of Famers, multiple Grammy winners, and top 40 hitmakers to Madison each January to help raise money in the fight against epilepsy. Bands like Cheap Trick, Grammy winners like Butch Vig from Garbage, Portugal the Man, and chart toppers like the Bangles and the Goo Goo Dolls. To date, $1.3 million has been raised with the help of top artists playing for free. Over 3 days, January 8th through January 10th, Joey Song's Freezing Man Festival will hold a series of concerts featuring these artists. And then on January 11th, a huge collection of those artists will stick around and play in amazing combinations to create a one-time only musical experience. You don't want to miss out. Find out more at joeysong.org. With the new year upon us, it's the perfect time for becoming a new you. So why not start it off right with a new smile? If you're looking to boost your confidence with a straight smile, then a fresh start with Orthodontic Experts Madison is the perfect way to begin your New Year's transformation. Dedicated to quality care and orthodontic excellence, Orthodontic Experts Madison is where the best value, quality, and accessibility align. They offer premium treatment options ranging from traditional metal braces, gold braces, lingual braces, and clear aligners, making it a seamless stop for you and your entire family. Visit Orthodontic Experts Madison at 1710 Egan Road today for your no-cost consultation to find out if orthodontic treatment is right for you. Start your new year off right. Get started with braces for $195 a month, subject to terms and conditions. Orthodontic experts. Straight teeth, best price, that's nice. All right, so we've been talking about food destinations, restaurants, and we're going to talk about Short Stack Eatery. It's a very popular breakfast and brunch State Street business. It's technically situated on the corner of West Johnston and North Henry. They announced this past weekend that after more than a decade, they are going to close their doors this May. But the story doesn't end there. The two owners' announcement drew up quite the controversy for a number of reasons I'll get into. If you haven't been to the restaurant, you very likely have driven or biked past on West Johnson, past State Street on the weekends, and seen the lines wrapped around the corner. It's a really cute spot. I've never been in, but like I can just tell it's cute. And I've never been in because the lines are so long and they intimidate me. But yeah, they're also known for their 25 ingredient Bloody Mary and special pancakes. People love their food. And so their announcement hit a nerve, both from beloved customers who are regulars. It's saddened to see this institution go, and also people who are pretty upset, actually, at their business practices over the years, where Short Stack Eatery has leaned on the community for financial backing. So there's so much to get into in the story. So there's no way for me to do it complete justice. I'll try, but we've got a lot of other stories to get to. I'm going to try and sum it up. But the owner's goodbye post drew some striking hot controversy, honestly. The post contains a photo of the two owners on an airplane with the message that they are to permanently close their doors in May and that they're headed to a new venture in a different industry. So stay tuned. And they don't want to do any media interviews about the closing. Well, people have a lot of questions because they made it a community-supported business a couple of times, doing multiple GoFundMes in recent years. And the fact that they're not doing media, I think, means people are filling in the blanks, including the media, about what's happened to their finances. Because people have a lot of questions about why they're going when they seem to be this absolutely popular spot. So should note, dozens of local restaurants have used GoFundMes over the pandemic to various success. Short Stack just had a much more public GoFundMe, I feel like, amongst many of them, because they're asking for big numbers, and they really got a lot of money. So in 2020, they raised just over $60,000, and then they had another GoFundMe in 2023 where they're asking for $175,000, and they raised tens of thousands there. And so the comments on this closure post were just a range of sadnesses for folks feeling sad to lose this restaurant. And then other people were calling them out for being tone deaf, that because they were on a plane, people were saying things along the lines of, okay, so you're going on vacation and you're starting a new venture. Can I get my money back that I donated to you to stay open? Yikes.
Woof.
It is woof. It's messy. Y'all seen it, right? It's quite messy.
Yeah, the comments are ranging, to say the least.
Yeah, so, and there's this loud contingency of folks who are just making noise about their finances. And they have since the last GoFundMe. And now it's coming back with the force now that they're come forward saying that they're closing. Questions around were you ever in true financial strain? Questions about how much government aid you got and the messaging around the money that they was needed. We've got, as I mentioned, other stories to get to, so we can't go into full investigative mode. If you want to, go online, read more from local outlets if you're deeply interested. But it does look like the restaurant received pretty significant loan forgiveness during the pandemic. ProPublica, the independent investigative journalism outlet, has a database of businesses who got PPP loans, or the Federal Paycheck Protection Program loans, and the amounts that were forgiven. And Short Stack's history is all accessible there. So you can see that they did get loans and well over $400,000 forgiven during the pandemic. So people are filling in the blanks. And right now it's kind of a picture of questions around how much overhead they had. What's rent on State Street like? Is it this insane that they just couldn't keep that space? And critics are just drawing their own conclusions from outside, saying you look super busy. You've raised your prices significantly, which they had a whole memo about that called McDonald's Screwed Us. Can talk about that. And the government helped them. So, and the latest, sadly, there's more news since they've announced. There are reports that there have been former employees saying their coworkers had their tips being stolen. You can go and see on Reddit people having chatter around that before this week. But Channel 3000 put out a story about that with some emails, whatever. The business is receiving a lot of love and sadness that they're going, and a lot of hate. I saw that the business also is cited for a lot of community-oriented partnerships with nonprofits, and that they have a progressive outlook. And, so this is a story that needs a lot of nuance, and they've got a lot of love and simultaneously a cloud of criticism around their business practices.
Yeah, there are a lot of layers in this story. And yeah, like you said, it's very nuanced. I am kind of surprised that they're closing. I mean, I guess it's not a huge shock when businesses leave, but Short Stack, like you said, like they've been there for so long. Like I remember Short Stack when they were open 24 hours. And that was when I loved Short Stack because
in the early days, because this was back when I was in college and I was working at the student newspaper at the Badger Herald, which was right across the street from Short Stack. So we'd be putting the paper to bed or we'd be finishing up our last digital stories. And I'm like, I'm so hungry. I got to go to Short Stack because it was the only thing that was open at, midnight when college students were working on newspapers. But anyways, yeah, it's hard to say. I will say I was not a fan of that massive Bloody Mary situation that they had going on. It was like when I had it, it was like a weird sort of like vegetable smoothie. The consistency was not great. And I was like, this is just give me some tomato juice and vodka. That Bloody Mary that they're infamous for.
Well, everyone kept talking about this Bloody Mary is great. This Bloody Mary, like you have to try it. And I'm like, this is just one of those things that people are hyping up because they think they need to hype it up, but it's actually bad. That's my hot take. That's my hottest take about Short Stack. I also will say, as someone who worked in service on State Street not that long ago, back in like 2021, 2022, these are stories that I had heard as well in terms of people complaining about wage issues, having weird treatment, not being sure where their tips were going. And of course, there can be issues on both sides of that, right? On the employer and the employee side, because you have to, when you are in the service industry, take it upon yourself to really know that employee handbook and know what your rights are. And especially when the people who are working in these situations are often very young and can be like undereducated or just under-resourced in themselves, like they might not have the time to do that. So they're not in a position to know their rights. But it's interesting to see all of this stuff kind of come to light now that people have actually been talking about for a long time. So I'm curious to see if the Short Stack owners go back on their own word on no media interviews, because I think they could stand to give people some answers, because there are a lot of questions.
We're here, by the way, ladies, if you're listening.
Yeah,
come chat.
It's a lesson. If you leave a lot of blanks, people are going to rush to fill those in. I mean, there's probably certainly legitimate reasons. I mean, restaurants it's a volatile business. Rents on State Street are rising as it's being redeveloped. I mean, those are all completely valid reasons. But like I said, if you just sort of leave an air of mystery around why your beloved restaurant is closing, people are going to want to try and solve the mystery, and maybe not in a way that you like.
Also, I want to point out that one of the co-owners, Alex Lindmeyer, did talk to News 3 Now regarding the tip issue, and they have said that they do not take any of the tips. Rather, when it has been reported stolen, it's being distributed to other employees based on tardiness. So I would recommend, if you're trying to get the whole story, do check out Channel 3000 for their reporting on that.
I imagine Channel 3000 went to them because they had an email that they'd sent and said, hey, just so you know, we're going to put this forward. And so the owners replied with their tipping policy.
Yes, in their handbook.
In their handbook. That story also cited a UW professor who specializes in labor saying taking tips is illegal. And they're saying we didn't as the owners, but it does look like maybe tips were being taken from the employees. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy there. And I think a big thing to consider, as Rob, you highlighted, is just like the overhead and rent. Like if their rent is $13,000, it's moving up $15,000 and it's going to keep rising. That's a lot. And I think sometimes looks can be deceiving in terms of, oh, well, you've got folks out the door. But if you have to make that much rent plus all of the other things to keep the business going, it certainly is a lot. And I remember we spoke with Francesca Hong, owner owner of Morris Ramen, and they did a GoFundMe and they closed. And I remember people were surprised when that restaurant closed. And it's another downtown business. And I remember Fran saying that, honestly, I don't think people value Asian food the same way that they do burgers and fries with beer in Madison. And that, just everything was more expensive. Even though you saw people coming in, it wasn't the same. And it's interesting because Short Stack Eatery, they put out this memo. They said McDonald's screwed us, basically having
in different
folks,
words.
Yeah.
In harsher words.
In harsher words. But something about the fact that McDonald's makes you think that breakfast is $3 and it comes to you in 20 seconds, and that people expect breakfast to be cheaper. And I think that there's some fairness there. So, yeah.
We've all seen the price of eggs, though, man. Like, that's expensive. We're not messing around. And imagine how many eggs they're going through. I will say, though, last time I went to McDonald's, it was kind of really expensive. It was
as soon as I was saying that, I was like, I just went and their prices are up, too.
Their prices are insane. So, I mean, I think inflation is hitting everyone. This economy is hitting everyone, and it's hard. So it's not a huge shock when a restaurant closes, right? Because like those businesses in general just run such crazy overhead and the margins are so slim. But again, I'm really curious looking to the future already to see who and if that spot will be filled, right? Like who can afford to rent on State Street? Who can afford to be there? And I just have my fingers crossed that it's not going to be like a chain.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Who's going to be able to sign that paperwork and sign that lease? Who knows? But speaking of paperwork, Haley.
Speaking of paperwork, yeah, we're talking about elections. And in case you missed it, every single city council seat will be on the ballot this April. Why? Well, we actually talked about it in our Stories to Watch episode from last week. So if you haven't listened to that, go check it out once you're done here. But the long story short is basically starting with this election cycle, city council members in Madison, also known as alders, will run on staggered 2-year terms. So everyone is up for election this year, and those running in even-numbered districts are running for 1-year terms, and then those in odd-numbered districts are running for the full 2-year terms. So now that we've got that context out of the way, let's dig into the races a little bit. The deadline for candidates to file their paperwork was January 7th, but in District 18, which is currently represented by embattled alder Charles Miadze, the deadline has been extended to 5 p.m. today, January 10th, which is because Miadze missed the January 7th filing deadline, and he also did not file a notification of non-candidacy. So this means that people in District 18 get an extra 72 hours to collect signatures and submit papers if they wish to join the race. But to be clear, this doesn't mean that Miadze himself gets an extra 72 hours to file. Incumbents who miss the deadlines cannot join the race, according to Wisconsin state statute. So far, 3 people have filed the paperwork to run for District 18. They are Carmela Glenn, Anthony McNally, and Kevin Monroe. As of this time, however, McNally still needs to submit signatures in order to be officially considered. The other 2 have submitted all their paperwork and they're good to go. Turning back to Miadze, he's currently facing 8 felony charges, mostly related to domestic abuse. And he had told Channel 3000 late last year that he was not going to run for re-election. But then earlier this year, Madison 365 reported that he was spotted out collecting signatures to get on the ballot. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? But now the question has been answered, whether he wanted to or not. Time has truly made the decision for him. So I guess, is anyone surprised by this action/inaction? Personally, I can't imagine someone who's facing that many or really any felony charges to be running for office. But also, we have a convicted felon being sworn in as president of the United States this month. So I guess anything is possible.
I certainly would not be running. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I feel like I would be have my tail between my legs, you know?
Well, knowing his story, I feel complicated on the felony issue and the carceral system and all of that. But I'm not surprised that he was out there collecting. I was like, I forgot that he said he wasn't going to. I'm not shocked at all that he was obstinate throughout the process. So
what's crazy, didn't he only need like 20 signatures to get on the ballot or something like that? So I wonder if like couldn't even get that. I mean, who knows? But it was crazy to me that you only need that little amount of signatures to get on the ballot.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
20 people.
It is a crazy low threshold, because I remember when you were reporting that for the newsletter, Rob, I was like looking it up and I was like, wow, I could run for office. I'm not going to, but I know 20 people.
20 people within your district.
Yes,
right.
That's true.
So you can't just find like 20 friends.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it can't just be like 20 randos. In terms of other races to watch, there are definitely going to be some interesting ones. I hope you guys are ready to nerd out on city council for a minute, because I am. In District 2, two relatively political newcomers are vying for the seat, which is currently represented by Juliana Bennett, who decided to not run for re-election. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. In downtown District 4, longtime Alder Mike Verveer, who has literally been on the council since I was born, fun fact, is facing a challenge from Elias Surovsky, who works at UW-Madison's Health Services, and he also leads Capital Neighborhoods, Inc., which is the neighborhood association for the downtown core of Madison. Mike Verveer has faced challengers in the past, but has usually come out in pretty sweeping victories. So I'm kind of curious to see how this race is going to pan out with a pretty solid challenger here. In District 7, incumbent Nazra Wahali is not running for re-election, but her husband, Abdirahman Siad, is running for the West Side seat. And then former Madison School Board candidate Badri Lankala is also running for the seat. And so there are also a few districts that are going to have primaries, since more than two candidates are running. At this time, they include districts 9, 10, and 12. But one race that I am super interested in, however, is happening on the south side, and it's District 14, where we're going to have a rematch between incumbent Alder Isidore Knox Jr. and Noah Lieberman. And if you guys remember, back in 2023, Knox won that seat, but only after the race literally ended in a tie and his name was pulled out of a bag. Like, how insane is that? So I'm really excited to watch this rematch. We'll see how it goes. This is going to be a city council election to behold. We're going to be talking about it for the many months to come. I hope you guys are excited.
I am. That's so exciting. Sure. I hope it's that close again.
Well, we have an exciting last story, really an exciting new person to introduce you to. We have a new producer, Jade, who obviously has been on this conversation this whole time. Jade, tell us who you are.
Yeah, I am Jade. Like you said, I'm Jade Asiri Ramos. I am so excited to be joining the team. I'm coming from a background in live radio and then long-form story-based podcasting. Podcasts you might be familiar with is Human Powered from Wisconsin Humanities that I help produce. And over at WORT, community radio station in Madison, I was working most recently on A Public Affair, which is a daily live talk show. So I'm excited to be in this new space and on this new team and really get really deep on the what's going on in Madison.
Yes, and we share that. My first job in radio was at A Public Affair as a producer. And the Human Powered, you're a powerhouse. Like literally, you've been here for a week and you're already like in it, going, rocking. We're so stoked.
I'm really excited. I think this is like a dream team to be a part of. It's a dream show to be producing, and the internal support from CityCast as a whole, all the cities around, has been really awesome. And I'm really stoked to be here and to be on my first Friday News Roundup with me being the news.
Yay.
Yay.
I love it. Squad's all here, guys.
Squad's
Look
all
at us.
here.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep bringing you the news with this amazing community member who is now a squad, CityCast Madison squad.
Yeah, so pitch me. Send me your news hooks. I want to know. I want to know what you want me to make sure that we cover.
Yes, absolutely. All right, y'all. Thanks for rounding up the news this week. I'm literally glowing going into this weekend. We're so excited to have you, Jade. So I'll just start with you, Jade Isiri Ramos. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Haley Sperling
So happy to be here. Friday News Roundup, Squad.
and Rob Thomas.
I've never been part of a squad before. I like it.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. We're produced by Adam Sage, Jade Isiri Ramos, Elizabeth Kama, and Francisco Kilgore. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor. Don't forget, you can always get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who loves our local food scene? See you back here Monday morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care.